Hey teacher friends, welcome back to my channel. I am Nina Rodriguez and this is Misfit to Teach, where I talk about all things teaching and how to stay mentally, physically, and emotionally fit to teach. So if I don't know you yet, please hit the purple subscribe button in the corner and the notification bell so that you and I can come together every week. When I was in ninth or 10th grade, I'm pretty sure it was 10th, we had to read a lot of the great tragedies in world literature. And one of the ones that we had to read was the tragedy of Antigone, written by the great Greek philosopher Sophocles many hundreds of years ago. And I hated reading these tragedies. They were so dense, they were really hard to understand. I had a hard time connecting these things that were relevant to me. It seemed like they were fraught with a lot of problems that I couldn't really relate to. And ultimately, I just wasn't one of those students that cared that much, especially once I got to 10th grade. So one of the main themes in the tragedy of Antigone is that you're dealing with sort of this rebellious daughter who is trying to give a proper burial to her brother. And during this whole family feud that blows up into this massive controversy, we're introduced to these really deeply flawed people. Now, since so much of literature is subjective, one of the arguments you can make is that the real tragedy of Antigone is that she and her father are ultimately good and decent people. But you really wouldn't sense that about them because there are so many layers of different kinds of conflict and different personal flaws that you as a reader are dealing with here, that you almost sort of lose the sense that these are decent people who are embroiled in an unfortunate situation, but who ultimately do love each other. Among many of the flaws that we find in Antigone is this deep sense of personal stubbornness. She sees things one way, she has a deep sense of right and wrong, and no matter the political climate, she is guided by her innate sense of what is right and what is wrong, what we should do and what we ought not to do. And I didn't know it then, and of course nobody would be able to tell me, but I think so many times in teaching, we try to cloak and cover up our personal flaws and gloss over them with maybe all of our stronger qualities, our better values, our greater senses of strength. And we try to put those forth and do the very best job that we can of hiding our insecurities and the things that might make us not good enough. But I think the real problem that we run into so many times with teaching is that the things that we're covering, the things that we deem our flaws, could actually and quite possibly be our greatest strengths in the classroom if we were to properly utilize them. We're living in a time when our students are faced with every manner of weird, heartbreaking, traumatizing, difficult challenges are coming up against them, and they really have fewer and fewer coping mechanisms to deal with those things in healthy ways. So I'm wondering now, what is it about ourselves that we hide from everybody in an effort to put our best foot forward? Have you dealt with a recent divorce? Are you struggling with personal relationships? What you gain from those life difficulties can be very useful to the kids coming into your classroom who have no coping skills against those challenges. Have you dealt with body shaming issues? Have you dealt with racial disparity, poverty, discrimination, insecurity, homelessness, deep sense of inadequacy, always feeling like you're not good enough or you don't measure up or you can't compete? Oftentimes, these things that we deem as personal flaws are highly useful lessons that we can give to our students, or we can help them navigate and use as stepping stones so that they can avoid a lot of the common pitfalls you and I might have dealt with, but also so that they can develop their own better sense of self. So I say all that today to say that maybe this month you can take some time for personal reflection and maybe take a day off from the having to be perfect shtick and come to your class as authentically as you can. In most cases, we make connections and we resonate with the people who are really flawed, but really authentic and are really trying and really care. And if you're doing those things for your students on a day-to-day basis, I can guarantee you that's probably good enough. Some of our greatest personal triumphs and our best, most interesting stories come from the places where we feel we're not good enough. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, stick around for this next one. Make today great, and remember to do all you can to stay fit to teach. Be well.